Okay, so, hi. I like that song. Don't judge me, bitch. Okay, so, I have a story. Yes, a story, my children. And, oh, this isn't working. Okay, so, a story. Yes, a story. Where does it look like I'm looking at you? Because I don't think it looks like I'm looking at you when I'm looking at the camera. Because it's so high. Like, does it look like I'm looking at you in point A, B, or C? A, B, C. Just tell me, A, B, or C. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, story partially has to do with how I'm dressed, you know. We'll get into that in a bit. But okay. So last weekend is not over there. I don't know why I point when I do that, but last weekend I went to a party. Okay? And like I spent all this time getting ready and I looked fucking sick as hell. Like I'm actually dressed the same way I was dressed, the same hairstyle, and except I had like my demon eyes going on, except they were different. They were more chic. They didn't have any eyeliner on the bottom other than on the inner eyelid. I don't know, it was sick. It's very, very good, very classy, and I wasn't wearing lipstick. But other than that, like, I had the full thing. I had like face, blush, and whatever. And you know how I look when I do that. Like, I look pretty fucking good. Not to be cocky. But, you know, just right now I'm just wearing eyeliner and lipstick. But, where was I? Okay, so, I go. I felt super fucking confident. Well, I was, like, I tried to get in contact with Kai, my boyfriend, and, like, I couldn't find him, so I just ended up going alone. And it was okay because, like, it was to my friend Daniel, like, it was his party, and I was just gonna meet him there. So, it would've been good. And, like, I got there, and I'm all fucking confident as shit because, like, my makeup's perfect, my hair is pretty cool, I guess, other than the sides, but I'm dressed fucking badass. Look at this shit. Like, dominatrix, hella. So, you know. And, like, I was confident as fuck. And that party was packed. There was shit tons of people. You could barely walk. And, like, I had this big-ass jacket that I wear because it was cold here. And, like, as soon as I walked in there and I took that off, it was just like, boom! All the guys' attention turned to me. And, like, you know, they were digging it. Like, and I was fucking confident as hell. I'm like, you know, people are like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, hey, what's up? And, like, going out, having smokes with people, whatever, talking to them. And then, like, just, it was only like 5 minutes in. And then the cops show up. And my friend Daniel, the person I was there, my safety blanket at the time, disappeared. Just poof, gone. Apparently, he had a warrant out for him. And he had to hop the fence when the cop showed, because, you know, he had a warrant. and that was shitty. Now my safety blanket's gone. I still look good, but the confidence went off and hid in the bushes. And, like, I'm like calling it back, like, here, confidence, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And it pokes its head out and it's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, you can do it. And then I look over on the couch, and there's a girl who knows me and knows what I am. And she's like one of those really, like, stuck-up bitches. And then she makes direct eye contact with me, and I just look at her, and then, like, confidence went back in the bush, dug a hole, buried itself, never to be seen again. And I basically ended up just, like, hiding in a corner. Like, where did Daniel go? And I don't know, I wandered back and forth trying to find him before I figured out that he had hopped a fence, all the while, like, trying to avoid these people who were all trying to, like, figure out who I am and where I came from. And, like, it was so long before he came back, it was agonizing. And this guy ended up coming up to me, and he's like, yeah, he's one of those guys that sound kind of like this. And he's like, what's up? What's your name, you know? And, like, I introduced myself, and he's like, wow, that's cool. And he ends up going on about my chest piece and, stuff. And he seemed like the rest of the guys. He was, like, super into me. And then he was, like, about to leave. And he just looked back over at the couch, looked out the way he was gonna go, and then looked at me, and he's just like, out of nowhere, it's like, so, you're not one of those he-she's, are you? And I just looked at him, like, I actually got called out on it, in my confident, not so confident state, and I don't know, I didn't know what to do, and I ended up just saying something like that, and he looked completely disgusted with me, and he's like, he didn't really know what to say. He was like, oh, well, that's, what the fuck, you know? And he ended up, like, leaving, and I never saw him again after that, but, like, I just knew, because that fucking bitch was there, talking shit. That happened. And, you know, like, it was awful. I didn't know how to react in that situation. I don't know, what would you and what should you do in that situation? Because, like, sure, it's none of their business in the end, but on the flip side, like, I have this thing where I have a really hard time lying. Like, apparently that's weird, but, like, I am so brutally honest. Like, if someone's like, oh, I just did this thing and it's fucking awful and I think I should hang myself, you know, I'd be like, wow, that was pretty awful. If you went to hang yourself, I probably wouldn't stop you. But like, then go into, like, oh, but, you know, killing yourself versus this and this, and I go into all the logic, and then they're like, oh yeah, you're probably right, I can make that better. But I'm brutally honest, so I just automatically basically said yes. And should I have lied? Should I have just, like, gotten all fucking pissed off? Like, bitch, who the fuck are you? Yeah, I'm dressed like it. I was dressed like it, you know? Should I have done that? That's what Daniel said I should have done. But, I don't know, like, what would you have done in that situation? What would you personally have done in that situation? Either way, it's like I went to all that work to look really good, and it all got fucked up. But, you know, there was a time where I was somewhat comfortable during that. Like, I ended up in the kitchen at one point, and Daniel's best friend was there. I forget her name. She's really nice. She was there, and she knows about me, and she was all being happy and shit, and I ended up playing beer pong for a bit. And then the guy I went to high school with, Emery, was there as well, and he knew exactly who I was. Like, it took him a second, but then he knew exactly who I was, and he didn't even flinch. Like, go Emery. He was always kind of a cool dude, though. And he was just like, whoa, how you been, you know, like, obviously. So, anywho, that's my little story. Oh, basically, in the end, you know, Daniel ended up back. He had this really big wound and shit, like blood all over his pants because he cut his arm pretty good jumping that fence. And, you know, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, you know, my little ruined party night aside, what would you have done in that situation? I wonder, do you really think that I should have kept it to myself and took the offended approach? Or should I have done what I did and tell him? And then it falls into that whole category of, like, you know, like, I don't know, what's that argument? There's the trans debate, like, if a guy digs you or whatever, do you tell him or do you keep him at distance until things start getting serious? You know? So, anyway, post your opinions in the comments below, and, you know, I'll get back to you. I like to hear your guys' opinions. If you're kind of embarrassed about showing your opinion or telling a story that kind of defines with that, you know, feel free to inbox me. I always reply. Sometimes it'll take me a few days if I have a ton of messages, but not that I have that many messages that it takes me a few days, but I procrastinate them when there's a lot. I'm like, oh, no, I don't know. But, yeah. Okay. So, I hope you guys have an awesome night, or day, or whenever the hell you watch this. I am going now. So, deuces.